It was against Linguagua, right?
Oh yeah, it was. Right.
Yeah.
What was the tournament again? Was it Smile Cup or something? Yeah, I think it was Smile Cup.
Yeah.
And
And then I saw he started laddering with Orc. I was actually convinced, or like I thought there was a good chance he was gonna play Orc here, but I guess he kind of went back on that. Maybe he wants to be able to look at himself in the mirror when he wakes up. Have you seen, by the way, Lin and Fly? They've been playing grunt builds, and I played Lin on ladder yesterday, and then I asked him after. I was like, "What are you doing?" Because he went like Wind Rider with Bloodlust or something. Obviously didn't do well. And then after it, I messaged him. I was like, "What is this strat?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm just trying out stuff because I think headhunters are going to be nerfed." And I was a little bit surprised because personally, I don't think there will be a patch for a while. So who knows?
Well, it wouldn't be too surprising. Headhunters definitely are looking pretty good right now. A lot of players have been trying to find the right answer, especially the humans and the undeads out there have been having problems with the Farseer Headhunter strategy. And there's a couple of different approaches, especially for the undeads. Some people try to play Cryptlord Fast Expo, which seems to be tough. Some people still play the standard TeD Fiend opening. Some go for Fast Fiends, which I personally think is the best counter. But 1-0 is playing the TeD Fiends, which was to be expected. 1-0 style against Headhunters nowadays seems to be fast tech, low tempo. What low tempo means is that he's going to have very few strong forces out early. He will not be able to fight very well. He will not be able to harass very well. He's going to be relying on low unit count to tech quickly into Frenzy Ghouls and Destroyers. The build that he's been showing was TeD Fiend opening with 2 Fiends, only 2 Fiends, into tier 3, and basically only play the mid game with 2 heroes and 2 Fiends and a statue, and then transition into Frenzy Ghouls with Destroyers with the sharp tier 3 timing with triple hero. That can be very strong, but has some downsides. And Soin, by the way, is not playing the Farseer Headhunters. Who would have thought it's going to be the Blademaster opening here, which would have worked out very well had he gone up against Fast Fiends, because Fast Fiends doesn't deal well with Blademaster, but does deal fairly well with Farseer Headhunters. But so 1-0 gets the upper hand in the dice roll of the opening builds. He's got the TeD Fiend opening, which is definitely the best thing he could have chosen against his Blademaster start.
Yeah, so it seems like Soin tried to play a bit of a mind game, and he was just convinced there was going to be straight into Fiends from 1-0, which, as you said, can be one of the good builds. So yeah, he went for the Blademaster, and it works out pretty fine, I guess, for him. Either way, right? Like, he should know exactly how to play against that style that 1-0 is doing as well. And I'm just curious, like, why? I just mentioned Lin and Fly not playing with Headhunters recently, and now Soin does that. So obviously, it could be that he was just trying to play mind games, but it's kind of weird to see those guys not using the Headhunters when they're the strongest that they've been in a long time, and terrible drops for Soin, by the way.
Yeah, these are very atrocious. 1-0 sees what's going on. He saw it, of course, with the Aka at the beginning. And I do favor 1-0 here quite a bit. His matchup against Orc has always been great, and Soin has been playing mostly Headhunters recently. Of course, he played Blademaster for years. He's not unfamiliar with that style. But playing Blademaster tier 3, it's very strong in the late game against Undead, but it's not an easy style at all. You have to know your timings perfectly well. Yeah. Your creep route has to be impeccable. You are relying on your heroes in the late game. The units for the Orc are going to be pretty trash. For the most part, it's going to be all about the heroes late game. And so he needs to have, well, a good game plan. And he needs to have a good idea of what he needs to do at all points. Stealing creeps away from the Undead is always a classic, always a favorite. But 1-0, look at this game sense. He knows this might be happening. He sees the Blademaster, and what's he doing? He's not walking next to the creep to get the item? That was weird. So he gets the last hit with the coil, but he freely gives the item to the blade, which looked like a bit of a mistake. But the experience here is a big deal. That fast level 3 is going to be making a big difference on both sides. And 1-0 super efficient. The Fiends crept the rest of the camp, but the DK still was able to steal that XP. And that is the world-class Undead versus Orc matchup that 1-0 has always had.
Maybe Soin's been watching some streams of Hitman, and then he saw, like, great Blademaster play. I mean, sometimes I watch Hitman play and I'm like, oh, I want to go Blademaster on ladder. Like, this looks so incredibly fun and amazing, and he's so damn good at it. But yeah, as you said, he's been one of the orcs that has been using a lot of Farseer Headhunters, so for him to play differently here definitely makes for a weird best of 5 from now, because then it's like in game 2, you know, what does he do? Does he... And also, like, if 120 is expecting another Blademaster in game 2 and it's a good map for it, maybe even goes Crypt Lord Expo, which I've seen him win almost every single game that he's done with Crypt Lord Expo against Blade, except maybe against Lin.
I think that's the first mistake here by 120 this game. He didn't scout the middle fast enough. During the first nighttime with 3 grunts, this is also an orc classic, trying to snipe the item in the middle, and you can always disengage easily if you get found with the Scroll of the Beast. So the scout here for 120 should have been a bit faster, especially considering that he had those illusions early. Blademaster though, still not level 3, and he used a lot of mana. You mentioned Hitman before. Something we see from Hitman a lot is that he always tries to preserve a high mana count, because this is gonna determine how well he can harass on tier 2 to secure safe creeping for the Shadowhunter second, which now is out. And we can see the Blademaster, he's got 1 Windwalk only. It's only level 1. So 120 seeing this, he knows he can safely take the middle now and get the big item at the Troll Warlord.
He even starts seasoning the Blademaster a little bit. It still has 1 charge of dust, which you definitely need here. Lich enters the field with claws and mantle, always nice. Let's see, he used his dust a bit early. Actually, Blade wasn't detected. Oh my god.
Ooh, that was close. Ooh. Wait, if he shows up and there's Nova, he might be dead. Oh, Soin didn't keep that in mind, that it might be Nova first.
Trying to speed scroll.
Oh, the Hex
speed scroll.
and the heal self.
Oh my god, what a save.
But look at the Shadowhunter. He used his full mana pool to creep and then save the Blade. And this is what I was talking about. Blademaster first. It can be very strong, but it needs a lot of practice. You have to have a lot of things in mind. Where you can be, how far you can go, where you have to harass, where you shouldn't harass. And so, I'm sorry if I'm being a little too blunt here, but this is not very clean Blademaster play. It just isn't.
Did Soin just use another speed scroll, by the way?
Oh, I didn't see that, but...
I think he went home and I think he may have clicked on the next speed scroll that he just bought. Because he was active for a very long time. It just like literally expired when I mentioned that. Yeah, because now, like, when he came home now, he would have bought another speed scroll, right? So I think he did and he used it by accident. That would be pretty bad, like, you need those later on.
Yeah, speed scrolls are crucially important. In the late game fights, if you want to have a good fight, good start to the fight, you need to have those speed scrolls. And ideally, you want to have 2. 1 to engage and 1 to save a hero if it gets focused. Shadowhunter got a Pendant of Energy, which is great if you have decent mana already, and then you have a big pool to use. But if you're out of mana, that Pendant does nothing for you. Unless you start buying mana potions, which would be expensive, which is also something you can't afford too easily, because this 1-base tier 3 orc style is very costly. TC is coming in now. We have a Kodo upgrade in the works, but we don't even have a Kodo out yet. This orc army is still a complete joke. And the Blademaster has to creep with the Shadowhunter to just be able to kill some camps. Shadow's not level 3 yet, but the red camp might change that. And 120 is going to get lots of experience on his Lich, who's got great items already. Crystal Ball is not one of those, but now we also have the Orb for the Undead.
Yeah, good luck being able to afford a Tiny here. You had to buy Orb, then you had to get TC, both very expensive. Let's see that pull here. I haven't seen that pull very often. If you can prevent the script from using all of their spells, I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess the Magnetor doesn't use his Frostbolt then. Interesting, by the way, 120 used the Crystal Ball, saw perfectly the timing of this creep happening, and Soin is still committing to it. 120 rushing across the map. If he gets the steal here of the item and gets the other red camp, that's almost game-winning. But the item will go to Soin. The Wyvern is almost dead. Of course, he can never fight here. He needs a speed scroll and boost out of here. He's got one on the TC. He's disengaging. And now, again, he has 0 speed scrolls, which means he can't fight until he has that speed scroll.
Battle drums. That's kind of bad. Here, when you were going to go for a Kodo anyway. He's getting Totem behind this. 120, like, I'm impressed with him, like, in this matchup. Like, the way he just, like, banks his mana, then fights, and then gets out if he has to. Like, I feel like if I was an Undead, I would just study this guy in how to play against Orc all the time. Like, it's so hard to catch every little decision, every little micro bit that he does, and how well he read the game from just watching the games one time, I feel like. He just has such a deep understanding of the matchup.
Oh, that Kodo loss is going to be painful, and it might even be level 3 Lich if he gets the kill. Oh, the disaster continues for Soin. He's in a terrible position. 120 with a huge lead now, could easily send out an Acolyte. Would love to see him creep the red camp here, and then send out an Acolyte to expand there. But at the moment he's on the chase. It's hard to catch up to the Orc army. There is another speed scroll on Soin. These speed scrolls have been used purely defensively. He wasn't able to take a fight once here so far. And this is what happens oftentimes when you play this Blademaster 1 base. If you fall behind, it's a very difficult strat. You have to make sure your early game is on point, your mid game is crisp, your creeping is perfect. And if that's not the case, you're just getting bullied, like we see here. And I'm sure if Hitman saw this game, he would be saying, that's what you get for playing Farseer Headhunters all the time.
I love how that PN was like, you can't see me, like, don't mind me, I'm just going on the other side. I think 120 is one of the best map awareness, like maybe of any player in the world. From having played against him on like Conceal Hill, or like, you know, as human you expand and then you try to sneak in a couple creeps here and there eventually when your MK is out. He's so oppressive. Like he'll just do what he just did here against Soin. He'll just give up the camps, not creep, and then rush you. First prevent you from creeping and then creep the camp that you were gonna do. And then go back to creepjacking you on the other side where he knows you're gonna be going without necessarily having the vision.
1-0 now in upkeep, looking very strong. This Lich is an absolute powerhouse, feeling even confident enough to fight into the Orc main base, potentially. Wolfing the first destroyer. We don't have Banshees here, which is the only thing that I don't like too much by 1-0 in this game. Walker's out already, but the destroyer's there, ready for the Dispel. Statue pulls back instantly. Did you see that? Preemptive Frost Armor, so once Blademaster shows up, he can pull it back right away. There wasn't a purge there, so the statue does survive, which is a big deal. Blademaster going in again, the Dark Ranger in trouble, but there's a potion to keep her alive. Coil flies in, and the Shadowhunter is quickly running out of mana. Once the Shadowhunter is out of mana, the fight is lost. It's all about the mana on the healers, and the DK has way more mana to use.
Even that DC kind of struggling. Oh, he lands a big storm, the Lich! 3 hit points. That was almost down. TC getting targeted. He needs to drop the Periapt and use the potion immediately after. It does that in like an instant, then targets the DK.
Too many items. 1-0 with the Invoke Potions and Healthstone. You also have Death Pact. Hero Kill was the only option for Soin. He went for it, didn't get it. Trying for the Lich again, but there's one more coil, the last one. By the way, what saved the Lich there was the circlet that he bought at the shop in the late game, which is kind of cool. 1-0 playing perfectly on the edge. And Soin almost fought his way back here in this horrible game with some hero kill attempts, but he's not going to get it in the end. And if you commit so hard for the hero kills and you don't get them, that means the fight is lost. And the Blademaster going down would be the final nail in the coffin. He had lots of agi there. I didn't even see that. That's why he had quite a bit of damage. But GG is going to be called. Soin loses map 1 and 1-0 goes up with 1-0.
Did you see 1-0 dodge the Kodo eating his fins at the end? Like the first time with the burrow perfectly on time, and second time by moving the fins ever so slightly. Super sick.
Yeah, super clean game by 1-0. He is perhaps the best Undead versus Orc in the world, as this is definitely Happy's weakness. And Soin, you're not in good enough shape to play Blademaster. I'm just telling you straight up. Soin, if you play Blade, you're going to lose every game. You have to play Farseer Headhunter.
Yeah, actually, I want to add to that. I think Soin, you're really not that good with Blade at all, and you've never been. So yeah, just go back to Farseer Headhunter.
Okay, I would not say that. Alright, that was rude, Todd. Jesus. Hopefully.
Yeah, you started it, bro.
Hopefully someone doesn't see this VOD. But yeah, as I said, Blademaster, you know, it can be very strong style. If you get to 4-4-3 levels with 2 base with Blademaster in the late game, that's the strongest you can ever be. It's way stronger than Farseer Headhunter ultra late game, but getting there is very hard. You have to have a really clean early game, a solid mid game, and good late game creeping. You cannot fall behind against 1-0, otherwise he's just gonna devour you, which is what pretty much happened there.
If the Lich dies, do you think that Soin can win?
Maybe, but 1-0 had a big army. He could have just revived him at the tavern. I think the game would have still been over.
He would have had a chance, maybe, but yeah, he wasn't ahead by all means. He wasn't like a game-winning snipe.
Yeah, the Blademaster, you know, he was pretty strong there. He bought some slippers and stuff. He also bought the Quel'Thalas, I just realized. So he put a lot of gold into that inventory, which is, of course, quite strong on a Blade, especially if it gets level 4. With a marketplace, that's always doable. Now, Concealed Hill is one of the worst maps for pimping a Blade. There's only one Claws +6 camp. There's Claws +9 if you're lucky. There's Claws +12 if you're lucky, but that's all very unlikely. Not so much DPS for the Blademaster available here. This is, in general, a pretty poor Blade 1 base map, I would say. So I'm certainly expecting a return to Farseer Headhunter now for Concealed Hill.
It's one of the meta maps for Farseer Headhunter as well. Lots of camps that you can creep very easily. With that, like with all of the damage, the fountains also, like once you have like 6-7 headhunters, kind of easy to do. The center can come into play a lot, and usually that's for the orc if you're playing Farseer Headhunter, like kind of easy like to pull, block, and then creep. So we'll see if that map awareness is here again here from 1 to 0. It's not the biggest of maps, but you have like multiple different avenues. You still kind of need to be like on top of your scouting and build order-wise. Do we get like in full anticipation that this should be a Farseer Headhunter almost certainly? Do we get a fast fiend build this time around? Do you think, or is it still TeD fiends?
Yeah, I would love to see it, but I think 1 to 0 just doesn't like the fast fiends. He doesn't like the slow tech. He doesn't like the late heroes. It seems like he just prefers the low tempo, fast tech style, even if it's against Farseer Headhunters. Would be my expectation here for map 2. We're loading in Concealed Hill. We have the Undead 1 to 0 in the lead, in the top right, and so in the bottom left. And it shall be again a TeD fiend start. And what are we going to have from Soin here? If he plays Farseer Headhunter, which I think he will, he needs to apply a lot of pressure. This weakness is definitely there for the TeD fiend build. You're only going to have 1 fiend very late, 2 fiends, 3 fiends. By the time you have the first fiend, the orc already has 3 headhunters, maybe even 4. So Soin needs to capitalize on this. He needs to creep more, he needs to do a lot of damage, he needs to snipe these skeletons quickly, and really accelerate fast with the Farseer. Get a quick level 3, and then play the mid game with the lead that you're supposed to have if you play these builds against each other.
He goes Dark Ranger second against Headhunters or not? Because I saw Happy do that a lot.
He does not. He goes Lich second, Dark Ranger third.
I think Dark Ranger second looked pretty good. I mean, Happy at least I was impressed with, obviously, when he did that. So I thought it might become maybe the standard, kind of like how if you played against Criplord Expo before, you'd always go Dark Ranger second to pressure the Expo if you play DK.
Yeah, especially when you play Fast Fiends, you have to play Dark Ranger because your tech is so much slower. You have to catch up with the second hero. And also with the Dark Ranger second, you can creep very well because you get so many skeletons so quickly. But here, I think it's going to be different. 1 to 0 normally wants to get the Lich out. He's going to have the fast tech. He's going to have the faster tech, so he can afford a bit of a later hero. And he wants to have the Lich level 3 late game to use the Nova level 2 in the Headhunters in the back, apply silence on the TC, and run with the ghouls into the Nova Headhunters and take him out quickly. That seems to be his go-to. Late game that is strong, but in the mid game is where this strategy has its weakness. Soin has to be aware of this and has to get a lead. He's playing a Farseer Headhunter build with a 2 borrow tech. He's going very heavy tempo early on, so Soin must get a lead early. But 1 to 0 is amazing at how much he can do with so little. Like when I saw him play against, I think it was Lawlight's orc, Lawlight off-raced. How much he was able to do just with DK and 2 fiends and a Lich was super amazing. So we'll see how he's going to do that. This is going to be hard to execute for 1 to 0, but of course, he is the best Undead in Asia, so if one can do it, it's him.
You know if the 4K FOV in the lobby is actually FOV? I'm guessing not, but you never know.
I was told by Demon, who normally knows these things, that it's a fake FOV.
Yeah, okay. I figured. I think he probably wouldn't be sporting the 4K tag, like, if he made an account and was around. Yeah, maybe like an old school fan. From what year did you follow Warcraft 3 again?
Pretty late. I started following the German scene back then with... it was either ESL TV or Giga 2. I don't quite remember it. It was like 2005 or 6.
Okay, so what's your top 5 Undead players of all time? From, let's do from first to fifth.
Alright, in the old days, I used to love SK Rain. But that was honestly because I wanted to be kind of a hipster, truly. Because everyone was a big fan, of course, of TeD, who was a legend, and of Hazuops, who was a German legend, and of Xlord, who was also a German legend. So I wanted to be a little bit special, and I picked Rain. Honestly, he wasn't that good. He was pretty good, but he wasn't sensational.
He was good, like he was underrated.
I think the best Undead by far is Happy. I think it's, like, back then,
so
not so clearly.
First?
Yeah, Happy is number 1, absolutely.
And then who? Who's second? Third, fourth, because you mentioned a lot of names, but I want a proper ranking.
Alright, Happy 1. 1 to 0 second. and TeD third, and WC fourth. Yeah.
And fifth, Czechia?
Oh, you know what? Czechia is fourth, and WZ is fifth. Forgot about Czechia.
So X-Lord not even in the top 5, huh?
Ah, dude. I mean, it's so many Undeads. I can't keep them all in mind. You know. If you look at the ladder, Todd, you see all these Undeads. How can you keep track of all of them? I'm not the biggest Mikael fan, to be honest. Like, I wasn't around early when he was super successful. And I think he's not on the same level, honestly, as 1-0 and Happy. That's Bidu's job. He's the big Mikael fanboy.
I think for me, it would be harder to rank the players because it's always like, do you favorize the super old school guys that did well early on or the guys that do well now? Like, you clearly for rank 1 and 2 went for the guys that do really well now. But I feel like maybe I would tend to favor the old school guys, personally, like sometimes when I make those rankings myself. But yeah, for Undeads, there's been so many great ones historically. Like Matt Frog in the early days, Pov, in my opinion, is one of the sickest also.
A player's forces are under attack.
So Soin got his level 3, by the way, to get to the game a bit, which is a strong power spike. The Wolves early on against only the low number of Fiends are very effective, but Soin used a lot of mana right here. And honestly, he didn't get too much, yeah. If he gets the Headhunter, he's almost there. He's gonna invest the coil. Oh, he denied it.
He was thinking about not coiling and just finishing the unit, but the risk is that it could get denied. Instead, he went for the coil.
And it did get denied, so it was the worst of both worlds. But the Farseer's almost out of mana. The Farseer has one more round of Wolves, and then he's gonna be dry for a long time. And 1-0 has, honestly, a pretty solid position. Soin didn't, I would say, get far enough ahead here, considering the early builds, the opening builds. But the big strength of the strat lies in the late game.
Yeah, shouldn't Orc be creeping here?
Yeah, I definitely think so, especially with the TC second. If you go Shadowhunter second, then you want to look for kills with Hex, but with TC, you should definitely be creeping. 1-0, oh, look at these saves. Fiends being pulled back. Well, but the Wolves are chasing, and the Wolves are faster than the Fiends. So it's 2 Fiends gonna be going down for...
Yeah, that's really bad.
2 or 3 Headhunters.
It's still not free.
The TC isn't creeping. And remember, 1-0 wants to transition into ghouls. Probably, yeah. So, losing these Fiends isn't that terrible. I mean, it's not great, but... TC isn't creeping, and if you can prevent TC level 3 when you're going into ghouls, it might very well be worth it.
Yeah, but he killed 2 Fiends, and I think he only lost, what, 1 Headhunter?
No, he lost at least 3.
Oh, okay. He escaped with some. It does feel like the TC, like, yes, he didn't creep in the first place, but now he will still be creeping pretty fast because of Wolves level 2 helping him out and having a decent amount of Headhunter, whereas, like, on the other side, we got a DK, a Lich, and 1 Fiend. Like, how are you ever gonna creep? Like, you have no physical damage.
And game sense-wise, this is the big difficulty for Undead in this matchup with this build. Knowing when to creep, when to be aggressive. Like, once you have tier 3 Frenzy Ghouls, Destroyer, Dark Ranger, then you want to fight. That's clear. But how aggressive do you want to be before that? He's sticking around, he's poking, can't really find any kills anymore, because again, 1-0 is playing this low-tempo style. He has hardly any units early on. He lost some Fiends. But now tier 3 is finished, and we have the big upgrades coming in. 1-0 has a sentry in the middle. He's going to see the camp being taken. Nothing he can do about that. But the TC will not be level 3 by the time that we have the Frenzy Ghouls showing up.
It's funny how Soin has like no actual control of CC at all here, because he went Kodo, then he went straight into Aura, so his damage is going to be absurd. He's about to have Berserker upgrades, gets Khadgar. Oh my god, it's actually pretty sick. Even though you're not going casters, like just for the heroes, eventually, especially if you're going to try hero, it's going to be amazing to be able to have that. But yeah, there's no Stomp yet. Finally, he gets there because he gets level 2, but there's no Raider behind it, so it's just going to be the Stomp to try and catch some of the stuff here.
1-0 would love to have a Dark Ranger here as well, but he's pretty broke. Bringing 3 ghouls from the main. Could be bringing all 5, honestly. He's got decent lumber. And 1-0 again poking, delaying, trying to prevent the TC from leveling up. But the army here for 1-0 isn't that scary. He's going to add in the Dark Ranger now, misses the coil. But I wouldn't say that necessarily 1-0 is looking too scary if it was to come to a fight.
Yeah, I kind of like Soin's position. I mean, it's much better than it was last game, that's for sure. Last game was a bit of a disaster from his standpoint. He went for +1 attack. on the War Mill, and now that he has enough lumber, I'm curious if maybe he gets reinforced defense next, just to be a little bit safer. Like, obviously, nowadays, it's not one of those upgrades that, like, you have to get as soon as possible. Like, the map awareness of everybody should be good enough, you know, to know when you're likely to be attacked. Let's say he was to be attacked now, he can still town portal and defend on time for the burrows. He goes +2 attack.
Lots of damage coming out from these headhunters very soon.
True shot.
Oh my god, these items for Soin are amazing. Catguys and True Shot.
Do you think, like, you should ever go healing wave first here, or it has to be Hex?
Against ghouls, honestly, Heal Wave might be decent. Like, against fiends, you definitely want to go Hex, because you can hero focus a lot, you can fiend focus a lot. But if there's ghouls running in, you have to deal with the ghouls. You cannot ignore the ghouls. And hexing a ghoul or two doesn't make that big of a difference. But he is going Hex. The upside with having this late game Ghoul Frenzy build is it's much easier to protect your destroyers. Because the headhunters will have to run away, they're gonna be threatened by ghouls all the time, the destroyers don't die so easily, and also we don't have raiders. Normally it's Ensnare plus Berserkers, which really destroys the destroyer, if you excuse my pun. Someone is coming in for a base attack, gonna take out 2 ghouls right away, trade a TP, and he got TC level 3 from that. Hoping that he can now creep the right hand side of the map. 1-0 took away the natural, but the big red camp at the fountain is still available. And 1-0 doesn't have the Lich level 3. That's a big problem for him. I think this DK may have been creeping a bit too much. Maybe the Lich should have been prioritized more here with the leveling.
Yeah, he lost 2 ghouls, and he was bringing out a bunch of the ghouls that he had with his army. So now he had to, like, leave one behind to keep on mining lumber. Otherwise, it's gonna run out. It's gonna be really hard to keep on making units. 1-0 gets on top of this fountain creep first, but the Drake will be heading back. And I think Soin kinda has to engage before the Drake dies, but he's a little bit hesitant.
One more ghoul goes down. Roll the Mage is a great item to be given to the Lich if he picks it up. Oh my god, I was on the ground for a second. Making me sweat. TC running in. Silence should be connecting here soon. 1-0 patient with the engagement. Does not want to go in too early. 5 ghouls. It's not that many, honestly. 2 statues on the ground. These could all be more theoretically.
Yeah, Soin is the one that was very hesitant here. But I think that's because he has Expo. And he knows there is no expansion from his opponents. Core Nova on one of the Berserkers. Maybe getting the Kodo would have been nice, but he also could have been saved here with a healing wave. There's always potential for a Speed Scroll, which actually is not there yet. Or I guess not in the inventory right now for Soin. Big Stomp lands in the middle of the army.
And that was a great Invo Potion. Using it right away to break through the silence. That is the move that might win him the fight right here. Hardly any ghouls left, and the Berserker DPS is crazy, dude. +8 on these Berserkers. Lich dropping low. Doesn't have Invul. Oh no, he does. Okay, uses it. Lich survives. Hex and Stomp is so much hero focus in the late game. That's the big advantage, or the big strength, I should say, of this Orc army in the late game stages. 1-0, I think he missed his timing. And he doesn't have a TP anymore, which means the DK is getting cornered and killed. And that calls for the GG.
Yeah, DK died with Scroll to be still there. Kind of weird. But yeah, not 1-0's game. Like, kind of everything was going wrong here. Starting with the early game fights where he wasn't able to get level 3 as early as he wanted.
Yeah, honestly, that one headhunter last hit that he didn't get in the main. Remember when he used the coil but didn't get the last hit? That actually had a huge impact. If he had gotten that, he would have been level 3 faster, and he probably would have lost only 1 fiend instead of 2 early there. And that could have been looking very different. But yeah, it's a hard strategy to execute. This TeD Fiend build into Frenzy Ghouls. Very hard to get the timings right and also be able to slow down the opponent. This time he made 3 Fiends. If he only makes 2 Fiends, maybe his tech is a bit faster. Maybe his Frenzy Ghoul count is a bit better. But of course, if you only have 2 Fiends, it's also going to be harder to pressure the Orc. That's a big problem with the strat. It's very hard to execute with a few things that you have as the Undead. The way easier thing to do is play fast Fiends. But 1-0 doesn't want to do it. 1-0 wants to stick to his style, at least so far.
Maybe he lost faith in it, and sometimes it's just like you have a couple really rough game with a build, and then you're like, oh, that build is not good anymore. Even though it's very hard to realize whether maybe, you know, you got unlucky, you played bad and stuff. So you just fully condemn the build. That may be what have happened. Otherwise, maybe he just understands this game and matchup on such a level that we're just not seeing it. You know, like maybe he understood that this build, the build that he's doing now, is superior, and just completely gave up on the other one. But what do you make of both of these guys' chances against Chemico in the finals?
1-0 is very good against Human. I think that's actually his best matchup. He was able to beat him before. I think he would have decent chances there, but Chimico is also really good against Undead. I really have no idea how good Chimico is right now against Orc and Soin against Human, so I can't really speak to that. But I think against Undead, against 1-0, he would have a pretty good shot.
Yeah, Chimico's good against Orc, but he plays really weird. He had some games against Lane to warm up before this. And I think he did all right. He likes to expand a lot.
Yeah, I've also seen him play Pally Rifles in the past. That's one of my favorite strategies, and I know one that you love when it gets brought up by chat, Todd. But the last 2 or 3 times I saw Pally Rifles attempted, it got kind of massacred, so I think that one has sort of fallen out of favor. We'll see what we get. We're at a 1-1 score. We're basically moving into a best of 3 now. These two players seem to be evenly matched. Our third map is going to be Tidehunters, where I think, you know, I keep talking about fast fiends, but on Tidehunters, TeD fiend opening is so good. You can creep so many items so easily because there's lots of medium armor on the map, which you can easily creep with just DK and skellies, get a fast level up on the DK and tech quickly. So specifically on this map, I think I would actually prefer the TeD fiend style, and I think here 1-0 should have an easier time as well with that build.
You think stuff like Criplord Expo is like completely done against Orc, especially if there is a chance of Farseer Headhunter, or is there a chance someone could try and make it work?
I think if you play Farseer, if you play Criplord Expo into Farseer Headhunter, you're giving the opportunity to the opponent to win the game. If the Orc plays it perfectly, it's not really winnable, in my opinion. And we've seen that plenty the last couple of months when, yeah, the Headhunter numbers rise and you get up to like 8 Headhunters or something. 6, 7, 8 Headhunters. The ghouls, the beetles, everything just dies. You don't have aura, and I don't really think it's winnable. But we'll see. What do we get here? Let's go into map number 3, Tidehunters. It's going to be a TeD Fiend opening again for 1-0, which does not surprise me. 1-0 really has become a lot more streamlined with his builds. In the past, he used to throw out wacky builds quite a bit, sometimes crazy wacky builds, as you certainly remember from the Ting Invitational. But nowadays, he's playing much more conservative and much more reliable. It seems like he wants to play the builds that it will always work, which is perhaps something that he got inspired by from Happy.
Yeah, I think not long ago he was kind of struggling with sleep, and he mentioned that in an interview, and after he kind of managed to fix that for a little bit, he went on a tear and started winning a lot. And then he also had some recent games where he was just like, what is he doing? You know, like he was like almost unrecognizable. So it feels like in terms of consistency, most of the time 1-0 is very good, but he also has his own trials and tribulations here and there where he struggles a little more.
Thank you, by the way, Abstract, with the 18-month resub. 1-0 on this map, I think, goes green first, creeping that one, and then going for, what's it called? The Sea Giant. Wait, is it Sea Giant or Tidehunter? Anyways, the orange outside the main to get the level 2 and get New Rod of Necromancy. You can get quite creative on this map. You could also go to the middle right away and snipe one of the turtles at the green camp, which is something I like to do if I play this build, because the Farseer almost always will want to creep both green camps in the middle, pick up the 2 small items, and get level 2 from that. So if you steal that away, the Farseer can't get it, but perhaps the priority has to be for the DK to first get level 2, because the level 2 power increase is definitely a lot higher for the DK than for the Farseer. Getting Chain Lightning is nice, but getting Unholy Aura is game-changing.
Yeah, we've seen actually like a lot of orcs starting to mix in a little bit of creeping here and there. It's always like kind of up to them whether they want to do that or not. Like, you know, as an undead or as a human, for myself, you're always going to be creeping a little bit in the start. And it's very interesting how some of these orcs are like, oh, I want to take 1 or 2 camps in the center, hope to get some good items for the Farseer, and also get towards level 2 and take those camps away. And you kind of have to keep guessing. Like, obviously, in either case, you're just going to be creeping in the start, and then it's all about when does that Farseer finally show up. And Acolyte is in danger here, but he could get coiled if need be. Ooh, he really waited until last second here.
I think he perhaps should have even denied that one, because he had 6 Acolytes. As you can see, there's still 1 left. And the goal here for Soin attacking is not to kill Acolytes. He knows 1-0 is too good at microing, too good at juggling. That Acolyte's never gonna die. He was trying to force mana out of the DK. And he forced 1 coil, but there's still 2 coils left. And Soin now trying to trade before the DK gets level 2. When the DK reaches level 2, the aura makes everything stronger, everything faster, everything regen a bit more as well. So Soin right now is playing the early advantage of Headhunters. We see the first Fiend is out, and there's going to be 3 Headhunters out against it already. And this is one of the big advantages of Farseer Headhunter. It can just trade way better than everything else in the early game. Unless, I guess, there's a keeper.
Interesting to realize that this silly base and altar sieging is not exclusive to Orc against human. Apparently Undeads also have to endure that. But yeah, once there is like, let's say 5 to 7 Headhunters, that's when the Orc is supposed to pull back and start creeping bigger camps here and there, like maybe do the shop in the center, maybe do a small green first. It seems like he's content with just doing more damage. Ronald gets the Acolyte finally, but it's not the biggest loss.
1-0 investing a coil. A second coil would lead to the kill of the Headhunter, but good block by Soin. Keeps his
Wait, would it?
troll alive. Oh, he needs
enough.
one more hit and a coil.
Yeah. He has enough hit points, I thought. Otherwise, he would have dived. Like in one of those MOBAs we talked about. The tower divers. Were you one of these, Remo?
Oh, hell yeah, bro. I was always the Blink initiator. Like Puck, Centaur, Slardar, Clockwork.
Act.
Oh, man, I love Clockwork. I was always going in and saying, fight, fight, fight! I hated farming. I also hated the laning stage. Like, all this gathering gold is super boring. It's just battle. That was always my role. So I always got the Blink Dagger and I told my boys, go to battle.
How about Axe?
Oh yeah, Axe is amazing. Love Axe. Dude, the dunk is the most satisfying spell in the game.
Yeah, for sure. Feels so good. Boom. Out of there. But I always use it too early, so...
Oh, did you still play? Because there was a patch at some point for Dota 2 where when you got a kill with the ult, it would refresh the cooldown. So it wouldn't have a cooldown if you got the kill.
Oh yeah, I saw that at some point. But yeah, I haven't been playing much Dota. Like, I tried to do some games with my friends not long ago, and then there was so many Smurfs. Like literally every game there was a clear Smurf in the middle, absolutely destroying us. So I think they took new measures to try and prevent Smurfs, because they were kind of ruining the game with like the account leveling and boosting and stuff. I don't know if you've seen about that.
Yeah, definitely. There's quite a bit of cancer in the Dota community. Like, the difference of having a full 5-man stack versus solo queuing is crazy. There's just so many salty, annoying people there. But yeah, so, you know, once you have 4, 5, 6 Headhunters, you can pretty much creep anything, and he's creeping fast right now. Gets to level 3, got a Scroll of the Beast, which can be very good to use in a big fight. Although, probably you would have rather preferred big healing, big mana potion. Especially for the TC, who is, again, the second hero of choice. Lich comes out, 1-0 has to find kills. Oh, the Headhunter's lining up perfectly for a Nova there for just a moment. Speed Scroll, though, used. Easy disengage. Didn't hit one of the Headhunters. That one goes down. And so, I think his scouting there could have been a little bit better if he had sent Wolves ahead, because you know the Lich is coming out at that timing. He already got level 3. Yeah. Perhaps should have fallen back a little bit faster.
He almost got to deny that Headhunter. That would have been nice, but unfortunately does not quite get it. Are you one of those guys that often visited the low priority? Be honest.
Quite a bit. Not for flaming, but for leaving the game. That always annoyed me so much that you couldn't leave the game and that you couldn't surrender. You always had to wait until your altar died in Dota 2. And sometimes people just don't want to finish the game and you're just sitting there wasting your time. And, you know, I do get emotional every now and then in games, especially when I lose, which is something that perhaps you might be familiar with. So, yeah, I was in low prio a decent amount.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I answer too much, I think, when people bait me. Like, or if people like are flaming, which is a lot in MOBAs. I'm never initiating myself, but then if someone starts talking crap, then I'll answer. And then get sent there too. Like yesterday, I was playing Paladin, and he was...
Dude, I saw that!
He was flaming, and then at first I wasn't saying anything, but eventually I was like, alright, just get out of my game.
Yeah, classic paladin. He's a character. Yeah, I never engage in that at all. I just go mute instantly. Instant mute. I'm like, I don't want to hear your shit. This time, by the way, it was the 2 fiends into tech. 1 fiend did go down, but a lot of gold was saved by 1-0 going quicker into more frenzy ghouls. He's going to creep the big camp at the lab. This TP was used very wisely, by the way. He stole camps away from the enemy side, and he forced the TC to come back, slowing down his creeping a little bit, gets back to the main with a TP, picks up the orb, takes out a big camp, and this game plan here seems to be coming together quite nicely, where we have for Soin a stupidly greedy expansion. 40 supply Tiny Great Hall, without even a 3rd hero. And 1-0 could very well win the game right here with the next push. Only thing that's an issue for him is he doesn't have too much mana on the DK. But the Lich is a house.
Yeah, so he needs to heal super fast here. Farseer finally catching up with the rest of the army. Yeah, Lionhorn is nice, but he doesn't have any survivability item. There is no invuln, so yeah, he buys the potion here knowing that he's probably going to have to fight very soon. That Link Shield could end up being good as well. Like if the TC makes it to the middle of the army and he uses that, but there is that one Destroyer. In the previous game, we saw the Destroyers dying very quickly because there was an absurd amount of Headhunters with +2 attack, but this time there is less. Even though they're in decent amounts here.
Yeah, with this expansion, honestly, Soin exposed himself to a somewhat early tier 3 fight. The big advantage of Headhunters is when you get to 60 supply, maybe even 70, the DPS is crazy. But at the moment, the Headhunter amount only, in quotes, at 7. Not that high yet. The first stomp might decide the game. Pulling back the ghouls, delaying the silence. 1-0, again, very patient with the beginning of the engagement, trying to pull the orc into a worse position. Hits with a Nova, now engages. We have a silence with the TC and no invul to break out of it. Very good start of the fight for 1-0, but he knows the silence is wearing off and he's playing around the cooldowns. Look at that. He knows the silence is over, he's going to back up, he got some kills, but he doesn't want to overextend. The patience here, wonderful to see from the Undead.
He pulls the red. What? With ghouls? I mean, you know something I don't, but I feel like this is not something that should go really well. The Granite finally goes for the stomp. Oh, and Soin's right there. He catches the statue immediately. 1-0, what are you doing?
Statue got caught. What was the statue doing there? I didn't even see it. Must have been misrallied.
Warcraft passing, bruh.
1-0 wants to get the level 3 Lich. He gets it here. But getting that rock golem, that granite golem, I should say. By the way, such a cool touch by the map maker to make it green. Fits the map perfectly. Okay, speaking of pathing, Granite, what are you doing? But Soin, dude, he exposed running and looked greedy. But it might be working out here in the end. 1-0 looking to be in more and more trouble. He does have 50 supply, but Soin has more. Still careful with the ghouls, but even without a stomp, just with the right clicks, one more ghoul goes down, traded for a berserker, and they cost almost the same amount of gold. Which is quite interesting. And of course, with the expansion of here, Soin is able to be way more efficient. 1-0 now makes the 5th ziggurat, so he can't even go into upkeep yet.
It's so tricky, like whoever overextends here in the fight is gonna lose, and they both know that, so it's gonna... You have to stay neutral and wait, but 1-0 is trying to force the fight. I think he's feeling the pressure of that expo of Soin. He's like, I need to force the bad fight out of you now. Finally, he pulled a golem that forced Soin to engage.
Activates Berserk.
Was looking for.
He's taking a lot of damage. Dark Ranger doesn't have Black Arrow turned on. That's a big mistake by 1-0. The first big mistake in this fight. Going for the DK now. Stomp misses. Nice Dispel into Invul Potion. Great play here by 1-0. He's executing this fight wonderfully. The only one mistake is that he doesn't have Black Arrow turned on. Something that can sometimes that can slip your mind. And the item in the end goes to Soin. He's gonna get the Cloak of Flames. Great against the ghouls. Gets one more Berserker. Hex again. DK in trouble once more.
He's stuck.
And he gets stomped. And that's the end. DK goes down. First hero dead. And that should be game. Toto walking forward. Doesn't get off the Devour. And 1-0 now. About to lose everything. Oh, if he had Black Arrow turned on earlier, this could have perhaps been looking different. But he does have lots of gold. He didn't spend too much. He can go for a Tavern Revive. But he doesn't look fight ready. And Soin just keeps on mining.
Yeah, really weird that he forgot about that. I think 1-0 understands the urgency of the situation. He's not going to remake DK from the altar and then sit back and play slow. He just instantly rebuys. And if you can get a super high level tri-hero here, you always have a chance. So I think he's just going to resume creeping a bunch. Maybe try to creep the entire bottom side of the map and then maybe expand himself behind this. You know, if you have a DK5 in a dream, anything can happen.
If the Dark Ranger gets 3 and the Lich gets level 4, and perhaps DK5, it's crazy strong levels for the Undead. The Shadowhunter is still only level 1. Healing is a big problem for Soin. He's trying to come in for the creep jack. DK way far up in front. Uh-oh, he might be dead again. Invul Potion once more used to dodge the stomp. Also used the Dispel there. TC, the first stomp, kind of landed in nowhere. And TC only has one more stomp left. DK has to be put towards the back. He does have Death Pact, to be fair. And this was a favorable exchange for 1-2-0. The game's not over yet. Shadowhunter is finally getting level 2. Now has Heal Wave. But only level 1 Heal Wave.
He's up to 3 destroyers now, so it's almost like this weird scenario where the Berserker count is very low. We have only 3 of them now, and they can get targeted down very quickly, so if he takes those out, those destroyers are going to be pretty damn good, like against whatever's left over. Like, he makes sure that there's never going to be wolves coming into play as well. He can dispel the Hex.
Dark Ranger 3, that's the big level up, and the Lich is close to 4 as well.
He's about to creep jack him.
He has mana for the silence, importantly. TC has 2 stomps ready again. Bad position for Soin. He did rebuy a TP, which he's probably going to have to use. Not going to snipe the Kodo. Just 1 Berserker. He's going to get a bit more experience. 1-0 playing this game super well. And here we go, Lich level 4, and now he has Dark Ritual to eat a lot of skellies.
And he can do that Murloc camp here and then compete for the turtle down there. You know, maybe the plan. This Murloc camp, by the way, is very deceiving. Like, obviously, he's going to do it easily now, but sometimes I always feel like I can do it earlier in the game. Actually, a really hard camp to do. Oh, he gets the Book of the Dead against no Spirit Walkers.
Oh, that's super good. And the Heat Wave misses. Coil Nova takes out the first one right away. TC running in, but remember, he doesn't have Invul. So, the silence should always land. And there it is again. He can't break out of it. And Soin, fighting into this Undead army who was already reaching the high levels, I feel like he's perhaps being a bit too aggressive. 1-0 summons the Book of the Dead. Coil, a little bit too late. Destroyer goes down. But so many units on the ground. TC using the Stomp only against the Skellies, only against the summons. And the Undead heroes are starting to take real control. DK,
yeah, these Stomps have been huge here.
Careful.
The Cloak of Flames helping tremendously as well with a little bit of extra damage. If you could just get rid of those destroyers here. I mean, obviously there is a third statue now even behind. And yes, Soin's unit count, like supply-wise, he's had explode the entire game, but he's never really been far ahead because every time they fight, the trades go better for 1-2-0. And the way he applies pressure is not even by fighting. He just keeps pulling camps and he's like, you've got to fight me even though you don't want to, or I'm going to take a camp and get further ahead. It's like genius play.
Yeah. As far as the late game execution here goes, 1-0 definitely looking better. Soin, he also seems very unsure of what he's exactly supposed to do. Like, he's trying to contest the creeping, but it didn't result in him actually preventing the levels. So perhaps he would have been better off just creeping himself safely on his side, but that opportunity is now gone. One destroyer gets taken out. DK finds the big mana potion, which is the best thing he could have hoped for. And now again, the Berserkers lined up for the Nova. It connects right away. Silence again on the TC, and he doesn't have that Invul or Dispel to ever break out of it. Shadowhunter in trouble, getting focus, dropping low, might be close to dying. DK pulled back again. Stomp is ready. When's it gonna land? It's only gonna be on the heroes and not on the DK. Not too many units for 1-2-0, but the destroyers are just not dropping. And now I realize what Soin is missing, which is Raiders. Where are the Raiders for the Ensnare? He doesn't have any. With that, the destroyers would have a much tougher time. And the Stomp, again, misses all the heroes. Perfect control by 1-2-0. Dispel saves the Lich. The Dark Ranger in trouble, but she will survive again. And there's going to be another coil ready soon. The damage for Soin is still sick with all these headhunters. Oh! TC connects with the Stomp because he dispelled his own. Eats the Skelly with a Death Pact. Uses the coil. 1-0 falling back. Soin might still be doing it in the end. With just a superior income. TC has one more Stomp ready. The Lich in trouble. Oh, and this might be the end of the... Not yet, though. He's got the mana potion, he used it. One more coil coming in. TC almost out of mana. Berserkers not quite getting the kill on the destroyer. That one just barely gets away. Lich can eat another skeleton soon. There it is. Has one more Nova. Gets another kill. This has been a crazy back and forth. 1-2-0 taking control again. That mana potion making all the difference in the world.
Yeah, on both sides actually. Even the Shadowhunter was out of mana, used its greater mana. TC being targeted, he has a push and he's going to use that. There is a heal wave to help out here. But 1-2-0 can just disengage. As you say, there is no raiders. The statues, they were... Oh my god, they're going the wrong way. They were kind of isolated on the other side. He's going to speed scroll to get one of them. That's Farseer level 5 around the corner if he can kill that one here, and he's going to be able to.
Oh, and these Invis Wolves are going to cause quite some issues. 1-0 though makes it to the shop and gets the Invul Potion. Crucial. But Soin still with the way bigger army, and now he's going to be able to get back to the shop and apply those clarities. He has the 5-4-3 hero levels. Very strong now. The only thing he's missing is TC5. 1-0 has to keep on killing units. Has to keep on being more cost efficient. It's one more
He's
Berserker.
almost 5-5 on his Lich and DK, by the way, which would be just an absurd level to gain here. And he keeps messing statues and destroys on one slaughterhouse.
Yeah. Ghouls, destroyers. Very high-paced strategy, very execution-based, but also very fun if you make it work out well. Trying to get that level 5 now. DK is super close. There's one more green camp over there. Oh, well, only one Murloc actually. Looking at the marketplace, we have some claws in there.
DK XP. Still a bit of XP.
Yeah. If he snipes one Berserker, that should be enough. The TC is fairly tanky.
That's a lot of Elementers, goodness. With +3 attack, they got triple aura. They got Devotion, Endurance, and War Drums. And Raider on the way now.
So should have definitely gone for at least one armor upgrade, by the way. Like, this single armor upgrade makes such a big difference. The DK gets level 5, got a bit more skeletons as well. Slippers for the Dark Ranger, not bad. And the Lich, almost level 5. Invis Wolves, scouting everything. Coil Nova, easy snipes now. Oh, the DK though, getting focused right away. Silence on the TC, can't break out of it once again. There's an Invul Potion on the Death Knight. The Destroyer's going down very quick. Finally, we have a Raider Foin Snare. And that is going to have the Destroyers going down much more quickly now. 1-0 has to snipe this Raider.
It was very sick to Hex first, by the way, because if he dispelled, like he put the TC next to the DK and he silenced it. Oh my god, the Lich. The Lich!
Ooh, that heal scroll! Oh my god, just barely keeping that one alive. Lich has level 5, and that is a crazy strong level up now against these Berserkers. They're all clumped up! All clumped up for the next Nova! Silence on the TC, can't use the Stomp. Hex on the Death Knight, he's in trouble. Invul Potion, dodges the Stomp again! For the 4th time this game! 1-0 outplaying Soin here, but can he outplay the expansion is the question. Wolf summoned again, the army for 1-0 basically all gone. Death Knight super low. If he gets hexed here, that should be the kill. Misses the Stomp again. Has to go for...
escape mission!
Oh,
can you
but that Zeppelin might be going down! Might be going down! Reveal! Oh my god, 10 HP! Are you kidding me? Absolutely crazy game between these two. 1-0 doing everything to stay alive, but it's damn hard. One more Berserker goes down. TC has one more Stomp. A second one soon after.
The Chinese Houdini with his escape, man.
Jesus Christ, dude. By the way, this game is so hard to execute for 1-0. There are so many clutch plays in this. He could have died so many times by now. Lich gets caught. Raider taken out. There's a second Raider. Playing from range. The Raiders, of course, die quickly. Heat Wave now coming in. Shadowhunter out of mana. No Hex, no Heat Wave anymore. And now 1-0 starting to eat the ghouls. The main is about to expire, by the way. Only 1k left.
It's one of those games where he's gonna all-in, I think. He's just gonna bring the Acolytes. Statues are kind of left behind very often, as he's trying to dive for that one Raider, making sure there is no more CC. One more coil will land. Lich and Dark Ranger mostly out of mana. DK moves close to the TC. He has to be careful.
TC now finally has the Invul Potion. That could be a crucial pop to get out of the silence. But the Dark Ranger's mana is very low. If she gets level 5, by the way, we're gonna have some crazy skellies here on the field. Coil flies. Lich has one more Nova in a second. And with these hero levels, these Berserkers are dying quick. Stomp connects. Is he going for the DK? There's Destroyers in the air against the Hex. That's what he's waiting for. One Destroyer does go down. Dark Ranger caught in a bad position, and that might be the kill. Hex on the Death Knight. Dark Ranger goes down.
1-0 trying to retreat a little bit. There's still a decent amount of mana here. TC with the Stomp. He's gonna go for the DK, and I think he's gonna get it. Finally, Soin gets the snipe that he had been looking for the whole game. And 1-0 is forced out of the game after battling like a lion, even though he was wounded early on.
Sick game. Great play by 1-0, being so far behind for so long. But with Hex and Snare and Stomp and Berserkers, the single target potential for Orc is just so crazy. And 1-0 here dies to it in the end. That expansion, I'm really surprised it worked out. So greedy. 40 supply tiny Great Hall. That could have been his end, but, you know, he rolls the dice. It works out for him. And Soin gets the win on Tidehunters, gets the lead in the series.
Yeah, the execution was great. I was going to mention, like, he was hexing the DK as he was moving in, and then he was moving the Torrent Chieftain immediately next to the DK. So the Undead has to silence the TC. And then if you want to dispel the hex, you also dispel the silence on the TC. So while you might be able to do that and then invuln immediately after, like in one of the latest fights, 120 just said, I'm going to ride this out. You're going to be silenced. I'm going to be hexed. Yes, you can attack the DK, but you're not going to be able to stomp it because as silence finishes, the hex will also finish, and then I can use the invuln. It was really, really nicely executed, actually.
Our fourth map is going to be Echo Isles, and I think this is going to be 120's best map so far, maybe. This is a great map for fast fiends, but 120 doesn't play it. This is also a really good map for Crypt Lord fast expansion, but CORSAIR is very strong against that with Headhunters. Now, I saw 120 play a super weird build here against Lawlight. He played Fast Fiends into Tier 1 expansion, which is something I've never seen before. And it did work out there. It was 2-base, 2-base, super late game. Lots of options for 120. Soin is definitely going to play CORSAIR Headhunters. Blademaster 1-base is super bad on Echo Isles because there's not enough creeps.
You don't think there is some chance for a Blademaster here on Echo?
Hell no. 0%.
Really?
It's bad. It's really bad. People get caught up on the claws. The claws aren't that important. It's more important to get big camps with the TC especially, and to be able to accelerate with lots of experience late game.
Big camps on Echo? There's no big camps, bro. It's a garbage map.
Exactly. It's a trash map. It's way too small. And Orc Triple Hero with a Blademaster at least needs lots of creeps.
I wish some tournaments would try using the new Echo Isle that was made. You saw that one, right?
Yep. It's definitely a much better version. But the weird thing is that we have that one, you know. We have the normal Echo Isles on War3 Champions and on Netties, and it set a strange precedent. I still prefer having new maps rather than the old ones improved.
You don't think remastering some maps can also be good? I mean, I know we had a bad experience with a recent remaster, but that doesn't mean some maps couldn't be good if they're remade. I mean, look at Ternas. They improved it. It was still one of the most imbalanced and vetoed maps, but
yeah,
the changes surely improved the map.
At some point, I would be fine with that, but I think first we should kick out AZ and Echo, which are way too simple, way too straightforward, and pretty dumb in some regards. Kick out those two, get in two new ones, and then maybe we can look towards remastering, improving some old ones. Especially
How do you like the Shadow Graves?
I think it's a pretty good map mostly. I think it has some issues. Like, the Merchant is way too easy to snipe the item. The red camp is, I think, too easy to snipe. And the middle is too empty. I've been actually talking with the map makers about changing it. We want to flip around some creep camps to face towards the middle to make it not so empty. But I think, in general, it's a pretty good map. Especially visually, it's beautiful.
Yeah. I like this kind of theme. But it's so weird, the red camps. Because it's like so open. You know, you kind of use, like, when you go into a red camp, I feel like most of them, they're like kind of enclosed areas, but I feel like the one in the bottom left and top right are for sure more accessible, which maybe is a good thing as well.
Yeah.
And they went 2-0 with the same build here, and so is the case for Soin. We're not going to be seeing the Blademaster on Echo. We're going to have to wait for some Hitman games to see more Blademaster play.
Yeah, Hitman would veto Echo Isles, probably. It's definitely not very good for the Blade. Yeah.
For a best of 5, that would be the worst map, you think, for him?
What else do we have? Oh, Amazonia is also pretty rough. Although Amazonia is good for CORSAIR Headhunter.
Yeah. I guess it just really depends on what style you want to play at the end of the day.
CORSAIR going to be aggressive here right out the gate. Once again, it's the same builds. And Not sure if this is better than Tidehunters for 1-2-0 or not. Starting with a fast tech again, being a bit greedy, not going for the Nerob right away. And since there's no Nerob, these wolves can start doing some good damage on the wolves, on this acolytes I mean. Ideally 1-0 wants to juggle the acolytes perfectly, not having to use coils.
He's trying to preserve his mana, after coiling the crypts. Pretty good so far, I'd say. Nerob Tower, 70%. Would you deny the acolytes? Like you said in last game, you thought it would be a good move, but what if you deny it and then you lose an acolyte? You just rage quit and go back to low priority like in Dota, or what?
Dude, thank God there's no low priority on War 3 champions for rage quits.
Paladin would be alone all day.
Dude, I would be there all the time.
You don't flame in Warcraft 3, do you?
No, I don't flame, and I don't know if you said lame or flame. I don't flame, no, but I rage quit all the time without GG. But I guess that's not really bannable offense. Keeping the acolyte alive
Warcraft
here
always
is...
gave me shit.
Yeah,
when I left the game without GG, like Neo was like, no GG? And then now his co-caster does it, you hypocrites.
Okay, if I play tournament games, I always GG, because there's something official, you know, but if I'm just laddering, I just want to be left alone. I don't even want to talk to you, okay? Just want to play, and I get upset. I don't want to have to do anything to do with it. Dude, I am at this point now. If some people play me on ladder, and I always say GLHF at the beginning, because, you know, I do want to be civil and friendly. I just get I just get upset when I lose, and that's when I don't GG you, okay? But anyways, when I play against people and I say GLHF, some of them start saying, why do you say GLHF when you don't say GG in the end? Which I think, you know, is something completely different. At this point, when they type this, I just do exclamation mute F, and they're muted forever. I'm here to play, okay? I'm not here to chat. I don't want to hear from you. I just want to play.
So you never reply to, like, casual chat?
Basically not.
I guess you play on a Smurf, right? Like, if you would play on Remo Demo, I'm sure, like, people would talk to you all the time.
Yeah, which is a big reason why I play on a Smurf.
Yeah.
But also there, like, rarely I play on Remo Demo, and then I just don't chat. I'm not trying to be unfriendly, guys. I don't want to talk. I want to play, okay?
Yeah,
I'm a
social, that's fine.
I'm a try-hard ladder boy, okay? And this time it's a Dark Ranger second, by the way.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't
new.
forget to turn on Black Arrow. There it is. Give me that skilly. Oh, he's gonna get another one.
Block coming in.
Out of guard.
Oh, yeah, so he wasn't expecting this. It should be at least 2 headhunters going down, maybe even a third.
That's pretty bad.
And this is a horrible beginning for Soin. Like, he's playing headhunter build into TeD fields. He's supposed to get level 3 fast and then play with a lead. He's not even level 2. What happened, Todd? We were talking about our ladder antics, and suddenly...
Yeah.
Someone's in a terrible spot. Absolutely horrible.
Actually, someone in the chat said, Yo, Remo, you are here to cast the game, not talk about your ladder games.
Smile.
What do you have to say about this?
I wish I could mute him in the chat like I can on War 3 Champions.
Does this guy not deserve 10 minutes to reconsider his atrocious behavior? On the stream, he's not even sub to! God damn.
No, that's fine. I get that. You know, sometimes people mess around a bit too much and there's a big game going on. I understand that. But, you know, I think there's always a balance to be struck where we can talk about some personal stuff and still talk about the game.
Yeah.
You know. You know it is,
there's always the people that are like very chill about watching a tournament, and like they'll appreciate the stories, but there's also like the super hardcore guys that like talk about the game, just mention everything. You didn't mention he dropped a period here. Like it's like, come on, you know, like this happens all the time that there's tournaments like this, and you can see it for yourself anyway. So
yeah, that's why I kind of love like open qualifiers, close qualifiers, because everyone agrees that it's, you know, it's just a qualifier. You can fuck around and then you can just do what you want. Speaking of which, by the way, on the weekend, which is tomorrow, we're going to have Asia closed qualifier, which I'm going to do starting at 1 p.m. CEST. And we're also going to have Europe qualifier tomorrow and America qualifier. All those qualifiers happening for DreamHack Fall. Hoggies.
Is Soin gonna drop another greedy tiny grate? I think maybe it depends like where you're at in the game. It's not a thing that you do every time, but sometimes you just get a feeling in the game. You're like, oh,
Yeah, this.
I think if I would do this now, maybe it would work out, and then you just go for it.
I think this time it would be suicidal. He lost a couple of headhunters. He didn't get anything of value in return. He lost the big camp in the middle. He doesn't have Farseer 3 yet. And 1-0 again, stealing a camp away. And again, he's ready to tactically TP out. This would be a smart TP to just leave right now. So he wasted a lot of time. Look how much time he wasted. The TC came up here to just force the other away. What's he going to get for it? One trapper. And that TP isn't just a safety option sometimes, but also it can be used tactically like we saw right there. 1-0's items, by the way, pretty bad. Double ring and wand. No circlet, no claws. He's going to creep the big renegade camp now. But having a level 3 Dark Ranger early is super good against headhunters. Those level 2 Skelly is going to make a big difference. But the Lich, of course, is going to be a little underleveled.
Yeah, this time Soin didn't go for the 40 supply tiny grade, but having forced the town portal, that might make him confident. That might make him confident to still go for that in a second, because he's doing like one of the last. Actually, I wonder maybe he should have saved that camp for the Shadow Hunter to get it straight to level 2, but instead still leveling the TC. I guess Endurance level 2 also can come in really handy. And let's see, he has. Oh, he's still spending his gold on units. Gets salves and a speed scroll, which the gold was increased on that recently. Do you think that was sufficient for you?
Yeah. I mean, it's still super powerful, but it has a long cooldown, you know?
Yeah.
It was a big increase from 50 to 70. I think that's fine.
You know, like, do you have a problem sometimes if people complain about balance, about something you completely disagree with, and you really want to say something? I kind of had that when the VTR was announced, because on Dust's Discord, Pride was whining a bunch about the speed scroll change. He was like, oh, that gold increase is like so terrible. Orc really needs to buy multiple speed scrolls to even be competitive and keep up with the other races. I was reading that.
Yeah, it's.
And
I mean,
dude,
it's hilarious.
Was building inside of me.
It's hilarious how biased some people are. Like, I remember Starshaped in this balance talk that we had. It was so ridiculous. Just because of the. Okay, we're talking about that later, because we're gonna have a big fight here. Lich is out, has the Nova ready, going for the TC right away. He knows there's no heal wave to heal him up. TC doesn't have an Immo Potion because 120 stole it before. Gonna transfer it now to the DK, who was dropping low. In fact, very low. Long range coil, TC almost goes down, but he survives. Kodo Beast gets over Devour, but it's gonna be taken out. The hero, the DK, is still low HP, but 120 gets the favorable exchange here. TC super hurt, can't fight right now, and there's still the Invo Potion available for the Undead. But the Lich is very underleveled, very low HP. That is the weakness here for 123. He's pushing forward.
Dude, that Kodo was in the middle of the army and he still tried to eat a Fiend. That was me leaning in for a case with a perfect 10 I'm at the club. That was the same chance of success here.
Dude, do you know Pay Money Wubby's YouTube channel when he was doing this video from this Asian woman doing these strange videos on YouTube, and there was always this song playing, "Baby, I'm a perfect 10." It's very obscure, you're probably done.
I don't know it, but it sounds fun.
Very funny. Getting back to Starshape, by the way, he said the Mountain Giants getting nerfed means that Night Elf is completely unplayable from this point on, which was so damn ridiculous. And guess what? He switched to Orc, and now he's back to Night Elf because what he said wasn't going to matter, which was the bear buff. Turned out that was pretty sick, actually. Lich almost going down, but he gets saved once again. Kodo coming forward, gets over Devour. One Fiend goes down, and Soin is turning this fight around. He's got all that damage now. Dark Ranger in trouble again, waiting for the coil. Next stomp, he's delaying it. Wayne takes the perfect one right there. Fiend dying again. The dust is still revealing these Fiends, and 120 having the Dark Ranger level 3, I gotta say, focusing these heroes so much, I'm not sure if it's the right choice. If he just focused the Berserkers instead, he could have perhaps built a big army of skeletons here.
Oh, the TC keeps getting coiled from afar, and there's still no heal wave here because Shadowhunter is only level 1. So TC cannot quite go in. I think, okay, transfer the TP. Kodo finally got his kiss and ate a Fiend, but that's gonna be freed. She broke up immediately after Remo. That gets dropped out. I like the move of transferring TP, trying to go for one last stomp, but I think he kind of panicked and then just got out of there. And now Soin is gonna have to, I guess, heal up for a little bit. There's a big opportunity for 120 to maybe buy a town portal and then contest the orange camp at the bottom. So I'm curious what he's going to do here. He might just run to his side of the map and creep there. Let's see if he gets the town portal.
Yeah, 1-0 still in a good position. It seemed like Soin almost fought his way back there with a couple of Fiend kills, but he was forced away. And the levels are the problem here for Soin. Him never getting level 3 Farseer, that is the biggest problem. And also the Shadowhunter very overleveled, way out of position. No heal wave, remember. Coil Nova could just be his end. Silence wasn't really necessary. Little mistake there by 1-0. That means the TC Stomp is going to connect. The Dust is still active. The Fiend is taken out. One more Fiend might be following next. Oh, the Coil comes in too late. That also a bit of a blunder by 1-2-0. The Dust is still active. Next Fiend goes down. TC is level 4. Has the healing potion, by the way. Dark Ranger dropping low. Coil flies in. That means the Lich is exposed now. But he does have the Invul potion. Would have loved to use a Hex there as well. But of course, the Shadowhunter was dead already.
But these Dark Rangers putting in work with the Black Arrow level 2
Yes.
statues. They're always active, healing, giving mana, and one of them is attacking, I guess, if everything's already regenerating properly. And another Town Pole is going to be forced. There's still that one Fiend inside of the Kodo belly. It's going to be a bit of extra experience, but no big levels around the corner, and they're just trading a ton of units for a ton of units, but that Shadowhunter dying here really sucks, even though he was only level 1.
Yeah, levels are the big problem here for Soin, and that's the typical story of Echo Isles. There's just not many creeps to go around, and if you lose map control, you can easily get bullied. And it all comes down to this early game, where the Farseer was aggressive for way too long, not even getting level 2 for such a long time, and, as you mentioned earlier, getting totally caught off guard by this Dark Ranger, losing the Headhunters. He was expecting a Lich timing, I suppose, and now 1-0 is going to get the Dark Ranger level 4, which Silence level 2 is not, you know, the craziest upgrade of all time, but if you hit it on 2 heroes, a double Silence with a bigger AoE, it can also make a big difference.
Yeah, 1-2-0 is using his advantage beautifully here by just banking those invulns, having like 2 of them, and the DK is the one that doesn't have one, but he has 2 rings for +6 armor, he has Town Portal to be able to get out. Let's see the micro, like, it seems like there is no presets thing like for 1-2-0, whether you attack heroes or units. It's just about how the fight's set up. It's a question that I always got asked on the stream as well. It's like, what do you want to attack in the fights? And I'm always like, you do attack move and then you see what's, you know, in position for you to do the most damage to. And I feel like for 1-2-0 is the same. Like, he attacks moves. If the TC is going in like crazy, you silence him, which usually, you know, is supposed to be coming in, and then you start targeting him to push him back, but then once he's back, then you attack the units.
Yeah, it depends on the position you're in. Normally, you want to target what's in range of your whole army. So you don't want to target something that's in the back, so your army has to run, and you need to kite in the meantime. And of course, with Undead, you always have to target fire. You can't just A-click, because you also need to attack everything with that orb. But 1-2-0 has the A-bomb now, and Disease Cloud could be quite impactful. He's not researching it, surprisingly. 1-2-0 being somewhat greedy, sitting at 50 supply, going to the corner, wants to creep the last big camp of the map. He's willing to TP out here, if he gets jacked, but also getting a lot of skeletons, which are quite the big help in these fights.
The Dark Ranger is the hero that has the most XP out of any of 1-2-0's heroes. It's kind of crazy.
Oh,
that went down.
Is 1-2-0 going to fight here now? Or is he going to back up? Might be a wise TP. TC is invis, comes in with the Stomp right away. This one connects well. Berserk activated on these. Berserker takes out one Fiend right away, and the second one swiftly after.
Oh, the Kodo! Oh, he grabs the album! That's a big deal. Because I don't think he can quite nuke the Kodo perfectly here. As TC is the real danger deep. Why is he not TPing?
Yeah, 1-2-0 playing with fire right here. Destroyer also very close to dying. Death Knight now getting focused. Destroyer needs to come in for the Dispel. The Hex might still be his end though. The Chain Lightning, where is it? Did he use Chain Lightning already? Lich dropping low as well, but the spells are on cooldown. Lich does survive.
I think Chain Lightning usually wait until you're sure that he's gonna kill something, but I like the decision of Soin. Like, he realized that the DK was never gonna die anyway, so he was like, oh, I know you're gonna TP, so he immediately started targeting other stuff. So he got the Destroyer, and then he kind of threatened one of the heroes, the Lich in this case. So some great decision making, and now that's Soin did really well in this fight. It might be a good time to pull back, buy a Tiny, and then drop it on the Expo and start mining from there, and then you just don't let Undead get their own expansion, much like we saw in the previous game.
But 1-2-0 had so much gold, he's going into upkeep now. He's easily going to get up to 60 supply, maybe even 70. He's got 2 more upgrades on the Fiends, and he can get more skeletons here. So, and if he goes for a Tiny, I think that will be his death sentence. He's still in trouble. The Shadowhunter is still under-leveled. Yeah, I think 1-2-0 is going to say hello with 60 supply, and he's going to win. That's what I think.
Against +3 Headhunters? Come on, bro. Dude, there is an bomb in the Kodo. Set her free. Okay, so he has 2 invulns this time, by the way. One on the Farseer, one on the TC. Gonna be using one of those pretty early. Doesn't quite dodge the coil. And this is so great by 1-2-0. He coil novas the TC, puts it low, and then starts running away. And the TC, he hasn't landed a single relevant stomp here yet. Every time he moves in, that gets fully negated, gets targeted again. There's no town portal to transfer. TC is gonna go down.
Big Stomp though coming in, going for the Lich. The Invo Potion, which was preserved earlier, saves him there. Coil flies in, TC goes down. 1-0 knowing exactly the weakness of this Orc army, which is the TC doesn't have too many items and he doesn't have level 2 heal wave. Has the Death Pact to be safe, heals up, and that is the win of the fight for 1-0, like all the smart casters knew right away.
Kappa. Oh, the album. He's gonna set the album free just before the digestion has been completed. Back without Disease Cloud. Dude, how do people not get Disease Cloud? This drives me nuts. And that's it. 1-0 with the Equalizer. What a crazy series.
Yeah, great game that the two are showing us here. We're gonna go up to the last map to decide this one. 1-0 comes in with a surprise on tier 2, the Dark Ranger, that Soin wasn't expecting. And losing the headhunters, those headhunters hurts, but really it was the Farseer being so underleveled which lost him the game. He was underleveled that whole time. I think 1-0 botched the fight in the bottom right a little bit. Remember when he started losing those fiends before he forced the TP out of the TC? But still, good play by 1-0. And also, he did something here which he didn't do at all this series, which is a micro detail that you sometimes get used to. 1-0 didn't focus the TC at all in the previous games, and now he started doing it, which is perhaps something that Soin didn't expect too much. For example, there were some occasions where the TC was running in, popped the invuln, but he was afraid, so he ran back again and didn't use the stomp, which perhaps he could have done a bit better. But yeah,
okay, so who do you favor going into map 5 then?
Don't really favor anybody here. I think this is a super close contest. Last Refuge, though, is a very good map for Farseer Headhunters. And not very easy for TeD Fiends, DK Lich. So, strategically and map-wise, I would favor Soin. But 1-0 might just be in full gear right now and be ready to close this out.
Yeah, the Dark Ranger worked out pretty well that last game. Maybe it's something that he goes back into again. Maybe it's one of those things where there's also no presets. You know, he waits until he sees how the game's going. And then if somehow the Orc is getting a little overeager and he's on his side of the map, he's like, all right, you've moved too far out. It's time to punish you. Usually at this time, there won't always be a speed scroll either, which makes it so much easier. Like if you get on top of these headhunters, you can really kill 2-3, which changes the whole outlook on the game for sure.
A banger of a series here now, second semifinal. The first semi was very clearly taken by Chimiko, but between 1-0 and Soin, it's going back and forth. All finalists will be determined after Last Refuge. This, by the way, is a great map for fast fiends, but I don't think that's something that 1-0 even considers. Not something he wants to hear. He's probably going to stick with his standard opening and maybe throw in the Dark Ranger second again. That is the one deviation, perhaps, that might occur.
Interesting to note, by the way, in the top 4, 2 humans, 1 undead and an orc. So perhaps the Mountain Giant nerf really did make Night Elf unplayable and Starshape was right.
He rarely ever is, though, so I doubt it. Let's go in. The deciding map, Last Refuge, and cut my legs off and call me Shorty. Todd, we have a ghoul opening by 1-0.
Prape Lord, you think?
It could be. Or it could be the Happy style. He doesn't play anymore, but he used to. DK ghouls, get level 2 fast, and surround all the headhunters. And go into the same late game with destroyers and ghouls and triple hero, but just not starting off with fiends, but rather with ghouls. Which is a very fun style. If you get a couple of ghouls and DK level 2, surrounding headhunters must not be too hard, because of course the shop is skipped for the orc for a long time. We're not gonna have speed scrolls for a very long while.
Dude, what is this color by 120? Like, this guy's killing me. I got the bug where it says like player 1 and player 2, so I have to manually type in the names and pick a color, and like I'm trying to find diarrhea over here. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, red was unfortunately taken. TeD asked for it, but now we have this color, which I don't know what this is called. Peanut, maybe.
Peanuts.
Cryptlord,
These
dude.
color names always crack
He's
me
playing
up.
Cryptlord on the last map. I saw Soin versus Mikael yesterday. I don't know if you saw that game. And Mikael played exactly this build, and he got devastated. Zero chance. But
It
1-0.
means that 120 saw that game and he was like, oh, if he would just do this and this, then he would just absolutely destroy him. So he saw a clear pathway to victory from seeing that game, and I guess we're going to be seeing the difference. Do you remember exactly how Mikael played it, like the creep route?
Yeah, Mikael went to the green. He was considering going over to the expansion, but the Farseer showed up with the wolves and just kept on poking. Kept on not allowing the Cryptlord to creep up at all. At some point he ran across the map during nighttime, tried to creep on the enemy side, but he was followed and he was prevented. And Mikael was just completely unleveled that whole game and had no chance.
Players' forces are under attack.
And it's no sacrificial skull yet, by the way, but the shop is right there. 1-0 could still go for it. Expo, yes or no, is the big question here that we ask ourselves, and also Soin is asking himself. A lot of ghouls here are very hurt already, by the way, which is a little weird, but apparently intentional. So 1-0 wants to keep full HP on the Cryptlord.
We denies the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Ice Tower, 70% again. His Farseer will get the first bit of experience from the one beetle there. And I guess 120 probably builds up his ghoul count a little bit. Maybe he can do the Murloc camp to get some more Skellies and beetles, and then he tries to go for the expand after that.
I think you should just do it now. This is enough. If you take the Murlocs, it's also gonna ferry over more Headhunters. Oh, sniping the Acolyte would be a great play. 1-0 probably has to remake 1 or 2 more Acolytes already. And the Wolves say hello to the creeps. And snare on the Acolyte.
Oh my god,
That's
the ghoul.
something that especially human players are very familiar with.
Yeah, usually that's from illusions mostly though, where that makes like this really scary. Can you get the wolf? Level 2 around the corner. Ooh,
Wait,
summon
what's
of
Soin
wolves
doing?
immediately before.
Why is this Farseer and Headhunters over here?
Yeah, he got
he running
zoned
away
out
from-
by... There were some units that were chasing him, and I think he got a little too scared. And he moved
Yeah.
too far out, so now that's an easy creep on the expo for 120.
A player's
This was way too easy for 1-0. Soin kind of messing up this early game.
I think maybe that's what 120 saw when he watched Soin against Mikael. He was like, oh, if you just split your units like this, you have too many units. Impel? Thinking about it. He's thinking
Trying to
about
get
it.
the vanillas around. Oh, got him. If the Crypto gets level 3, things are gonna get really tough. Impale. I'm not sure if he gets.
So if
Oh
you
my
get a
God.
full surround
Imagine
on
if he gets
everything?
the full surround here, but he only gets the one.
That's the
One
dead
more hit.
headhunter. Wow. And he's almost 3.
It's slipping away. It's slipping away from Soin. And that's the next one. And it gets caught.
Bro.
Surrounding the
Oh my god,
wolves.
the wolves. I mean, you can just go for any green camp now and get an easy level 3, and he's gonna have beetles too against the Farseer level 1 with barely any experience.
Yeah, Soin, he needed to be there in position to harass at the creeping of the expansion. Maybe see the last hit, but at least kill 1 or 2 ghouls. Big mess up in this early game by Soin. This is the most one-sided game we've had so far. 1-0, clutching it out in the end like he has so many times before. Gets level 3 and a replenishment potion, which is absolutely amazing.
a player's
Yeah.
forces are
When
under
you have taken a bunch of damage like this. Firelord! Is he gonna tower rush?
Yeah, he's going all in.
But where is he getting a bestiary then?
Double bestiary. Alright,
Wait,
Wyvern.
what? Is this the Razorman build but against Undead?
It's gonna take a long time until these Wyvern are out, actually, though. So Soin has to keep up the pressure right now, prevent 1-0 from creeping the Merc camp. If 1-0 gets the Merc and gets the Berserker and Shadow Priest, these Wyverns are gonna fail. But he has
Oh,
2
no. He has an
Headhunters
Impel?
only.
Why is he not impaling the Firelord?
Nice block.
He's being really greedy, trying to surround stuff without impels, but to be honest, he's landed so many of them by now.
Yeah, gonna get the lava spawn as well. No splitting for you. You will remain lonely.
Just like me. Damn, headhunters are going extinct in this game.
Yeah, and this is sometimes what it can look like if you slip up early and you lose control and a couple of headhunters go down. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. Here's the impale into the surround that we were waiting for, and that's the Fire Lord dead.
That cripple is gonna get 4 pretty damn fast at this rate if he keeps on killing stuff like this. He sends 2 beetles across, like they might actually catch the headhunter in the base of Soin if they go a little bit deeper.
This reminds me of Vortex's games in DreamHack. He just gets a couple of ghouls and a Cripplord and just surrounds 10 million units. And
Yeah.
the opponent just never gets up to fighting shape.
This reminds me of any of Juan's game.
Oh, and he got the next one! You mentioned him. It was Juan who really showed in eer0 Meisterschaft and other tournaments how good Cripplord 1 base can be if you can land those surrounds. And Soin has just been absolutely massacred.
Yeah, that's... the boss here is not even 1.5. And the Cripplord will be getting level 4 with any camp that he does next year. This is as disastrous as it gets. And he's going Wind Riders as well, which... he can try and harass the Expo a little bit, but there's like towers supposedly somewhat close enough. And tech is, you know, getting closer to being done here as well for 1-2-0. He's already got 2 crypts, so he can easily go in. I guess he gets to pick Gargs or Fiends. Fiends probably good enough.
Seems like our final is going to be 1-0 versus Chimiko, the rematch of last TeD Cup semi-final, unless there's going to be some crazy miracle by Soin, but let's be real, it does not look possible at all. Dude, thinking back to that early game, remember when the Farseer was caught on the left side, he was in the wrong position? He also only had 2 headhunters. Did he mess up the build? Did he stop producing headhunters? It feels like he should have had more by that time. Alright, he's diving into the main, but there's towers coming up. The Cripplord can now go for potions, which means he's not gonna die. And Web is gonna be upgraded in a moment. Not quite yet. Also wants to go for a DK.
Oh, the first here?
Oh, he gets surrounded
He
by
can
the
break
beetles
out.
in the meantime. But
He has no speed scroll.
Cheeky Impale.
A player's
No.
force is
It's
under
too far.
attack.
Maybe intercept in the center. Oh, he has a... oh, never mind. He doesn't have a shot. He went for a tower at the Expo.
Town is under siege.
What is
Yeah,
this
Needle base
getting
is
web?
really breakable here.
Why is he not getting web? Is he thinking, yeah, whatever. Your Wyvern.
Why is there ghouls
I don't care.
harassing the orc base? What is it?
I mean, why not? They can't fight the Wyvern. Might as well be useful elsewhere. And with the towers in each base, the Wyvern can't enter there. 1-0 again, displaying patience. Just making Fiends first, because with Fiends you can creep. Doesn't need web. Why does he need web? Wyvern can't do anything.
I wonder if 1-2-0 had lost this series, would he have gone on tilt and actually switched to orc, you think?
Well, I know someone who knows a thing or two about that, so I think you're the expert there.
What?
In Meisterschaft? Didn't you switch to
Oh,
Orc?
I picked orc for 1 series. But yeah, he literally I had never played orc almost. I played like 5 warm-up games before that series and watched like 2 replays. But 1-2-0 after his last loss to Linguagua, he actually started playing orc quite a bit on ladder, and he was very good with it. There was like a real thought here of maybe he might start playing orc. I really wonder. I guess now we'll never know because he's gonna win.
Actually, when he was known as Tara at the beginning of his career, he started out playing as Orc, and he even played some WGL qualifiers as Orc. I remember when he 4-1 destroyed Lin in an Orc mirror. So his Orc is really good, although we see it rarely.
I think TH early in his career, he was Undead and he was random and then he was human.
Oh, really?
And then he started switching. Yeah, then he started switching races. Grubby was Night Elf initially. Did you know that?
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, he has WC 2003. He went to France and he was playing Night Elf.
Were you a different main race before?
No, I was a human from the start.
Always human. Well, that's what you
think
get
I
for
had a
having the
very
worst
quick-
choice.
Yeah. I had a quick switch to Undeads. The first time that I played against Necromancers, I was like, this is because my build back then was like 2 Rax Footmen with 2/2 upgrades.
Sounds
Which is
good.
just terrible. So imagine against Necromancers how bad I did this one game, and then I was like, okay, this is the most broken thing I've ever seen. But then I switched to Undead and I played a couple games and I was like, okay, this is boring. So I went back to human.
The DK did power level quite quickly here. Got the level 3 now. Got some good items. And Soin, he's living on a prayer. Trying to do something with liquid fire. It's about 60% through. I think he could kill both Haunted Gold Mines and he would still lose this game.
Yeah, I don't know what he's really supposed to do here. He should go for the towers probably. He doesn't have a speed scroll. That's scary actually. Because if you go for the tower here and then there's a town portal, you need to speed scroll out of there. Wait, what is he waiting for?
What is there gonna come in with a TP? Gonna try some of these some of these wyvern. Needs to fly away quick.
Yeah, without speed scroll, like I said. Where's the impel? There it is. That's a TP. Oh my god, he left the units on the corner, and that was spotted by 120. Oh my god. He needs to get out. Whew. I got scared. Imagine if he had been trapped there.
And 120 in the meantime cruising up to tier 3. He's gonna add a Lich in soon.
By the
If
way,
this
you're
was
a big
old
fan of
120, he would be going like Tinker 3rd with Swarm Rockets or something.
I just realized you're a big fan of the Hobbit movies, right? Or like the Lord of the Rings as well. And they always
Well-
walk around barefoot in those movies.
They
I think
do.
I'm starting to put 2 plus 2 together.
They do. My feet are unfortunately not that hairy, so I don't keep that warm in the winter, but yeah. Now, I have to correct you though. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. The Hobbit movies were absolute trash. Did you know that there's a
dare
new Lord of the Rings or Silmarillion series coming from Amazon somewhat soon?
Really?
Yeah.
Are we some of the same characters or like a spin-off?
It is set before the times of Lord of the Rings, in like Beleriand and Numenor, so
Oh,
it's
okay, yeah.
basically thousands of years before.
So it's Lord of the Rings themed, but with none of the characters.
Well,
I just
Gandalf-
love cameos in movies, so I'm just kind of sad there's not more cameos. Oh my god.
Oh, only 2 units go down. Yeah, Web absolutely destroying right there. So I was trying to distract from the tiny Great Hall, but the beetles were already there to scout it. And
Yeah, you know,
I think-
I've been watching the shows on Disney Plus, like all the Marvel shows and stuff, and I feel like there is very limited amount of cameos in there. They could have done so much.
Mhm.
Like with all of them, like WandaVision, Captain America and Falcon, or whatever, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then the
Wait,
latest
there's
Loki.
There's a Captain America series?
Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Ah, I don't know about that one. I did watch Loki. I thought it was a very interesting concept and saw it off very well, but I thought it got kind of boring.
Players' forces are under attack.
Really? In the last
Yeah.
2 episodes, it was good, I thought.
I do like Owen Wilson a lot, though. And also Tom Hiddleston. Expo
Yeah,
gonna go
great.
down, but you know what? Someone got the Expo kill, so he got something done. Problem is, 1-0 has lots of gold, and he has a giant army. Ooh, last second TP. One more Wyvern goes down.
Honestly, like, I know some people want us to talk about the game, but this has been over for a very long time. I'd just rather talk about, you know, the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, The Mandalorian. That's a series that a lot of people really loved.
You saw it?
Couple of episodes. Also didn't like that
Speaking
one
about a
too much.
cameo, that was one of the better executions.
Which one?
Okay, well, you haven't finished watching it.
I'm not gonna watch it.
I'm like,
But I guess people are gonna get spoiled.
yes,
I
you are.
did like Werner Herzog a lot in that. Do you know the German director? He's got this weird, ominous voice. He was the dude who gave him all that payment for something. And he was speaking like this, and we have to
Oh, yeah,
establish
yeah, yeah.
order in the universe.
yeah.
That was cool.
I honestly don't know what it would take for an orc player to ever win this game. Like, just, I think nothing else than a straight up disconnect would do it.
Yeah, once they're starting to split up his forces, keeping some fiends in the base, that's smart. Because even with just 4 fiends and 2 statues, he's going to win every fight. So every other unit he can just park in the base. You know, we can't blame Soin for a lack of trying. He's certainly giving it his all.
Yeah. Sometimes a player leaves after losing like most of his army and one of his heroes, and it's clearly over. There's always these viewers that are like, why did you leave? It was still early, you could still win. And it's like, no, actually, like, he was completely screwed. This is kind of the opposite, you know? Like, I'm just not really seeing any way he could ever win, but I don't know, maybe if he kills both Goldmine and then 1-2-0 starts making like gigantic mistakes.
Seems like he's going to get a cancel here again. We have a Tele staff now. It's pretty
The
weird that
cripple
1-0
with
didn't
orc.
go for a 3rd hero, by the way. What would be the best 3rd hero against this lane style?
A player's forces are under attack.
I actually don't think you need one. Because none of them feels like it would be very good. If you could level one properly, then, you know, maybe like a panda or something would be good.
Against Raider lane, Dreadlord is also always super good because you can just
Tinker with rockets, bro.
tinker with rockets.
Lich, actually. I mean, Lich is usually the one hero you have to get for the orb, but now you just put it on the Crypt Lord instead.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, no. No, never mind.
A player's forces
Yeah,
are
there's not a very good choice here. Not a very clear, great choice. I would just
You're
go
gonna say
Dreadlord.
Naga or something?
Just go Dreadlord, throw out some sleeps. Some sleeps could be good. Catch some Wyvern, prevent a TP or something.
Wait, why are you not gonna watch the Mandalorian, by the way?
Don't like it that much. Didn't find it
Bro.
so interesting.
Come
I
on.
like this. Fiends being buried around everywhere, around the trees, so when the Wyverns show up, you can just unburrow. And yoink! Grab them.
They did that in the main base as well, actually.
A player's forces are under attack. A town is under siege.
1-2-0 is reading the map really well again. Like, he saw the movement. He's like, okay, I know you're gonna be on the left-hand side. That's where most of the camps that are left are. What does he do? He pulls the camp. If you feel like you two get in this position sometimes where you're ahead and you don't really know how to go about fighting effectively, there you go. Just pull a camp, and you're basically telling the opponent you have to engage into me. Otherwise, I'm gonna creep that camp and you're screwed.
Did catch one Wyvern with the web. Oh! It gets away! Ooh! Man. That Wyvern had the death warrant signed already. He was sitting on death row, but somehow he got out. Prison Break style. Now, Prison Break, that's a TV show that I grew up with.
Yeah.
My best friend
there's
loved
no
that
space.
show.
He has no space in his inventory.
Alright, Wyvern flying in. Alright, this is like 50 fiends. I think I know how this fight's gonna go.
Legion on the ground. Pick it up. Also, I took so much damage from the creeps in the back and the impale alone.
He wants to give it to the orc. Have this one, bro. It's been a rough game for you. I want to do something good for you here towards the end of your day. Or is it just enjoying his time before he gets to go into the final? Honestly, this is just an A-click fight. You can just A-click on the ground and you're going to win this fight. He doesn't have to do anything.
Pick this one up. You're gonna need it. CORSAIR really low. Firelord getting low. He has an invuln as well. Wind Rider is just running out, and 1-2-0 gets his ticket for the grand finals. Dude, do you know what that reminded me of just now? What you said. You know, McGregor has to fight soon.
Oh, yeah.
And against Dustin Poirier, like tomorrow. And apparently it came out that there was a backup fighter, because these days, you know, like if one of the fighters gets injured or whatever, or tests positive for COVID, like you have to find a replacement the last second. So what they do is they have backup fighters. And in this case, it came out that the backup fighter for this fight is Rafael dos Anjos, apparently. So McGregor found out about that, and he tweeted something along the lines of,